Hey everybody, welcome back to Play Casket. This is your host, Paraka the Goblin, and
Ghost, your co-host.
today we're gonna just talk about villains, how well they work, how well some of them are written, and how much are they Sephiroth.
Well, I guess what works and what doesn't work.
Exactly. So basically, I want to just go ahead and make a preface on this. When we're talking about good and what bad, we're talking about stuff that doesn't resonate with people, and when something's
more of just what doesn't really resonate with us, I guess.
yeah, and not just us, but for the most part, a lot of people kind of agree with some of these. Some of them not so much because there is other factors that happen and that help build these characters to be far more relatable. But some of the stuff that work, like a force of nature, something that's supposed to be enigmatic but always the antithesis of a hero. Like, for instance, Joker for Batman and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. The more classic Jokers, especially in the 90s animated films and stuff, he was unknown. Nobody knows their origins. Nobody knows anything else, right? And
let's go Cain and Abel, the two brothers that will continually fight forever.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, too. His whole goal wasn't to destroy the world or have any, it's just to break Batman, mm-hmm. right? And his omnipresence always backed by whatever he's going to do. And nobody really even knows how he gets so much money either. It's abnormal, but the end goal for him was always to just break Batman, because Batman has a very strong sense of justice in doing what's right. Mm-hmm. So, for a villain to be the antithesis to it, there's a sense where you feel righteous with the hero and you want to be backed by that. Batman is widely the more popular heroes for a reason, because he's still human. He's not injected with super blood or some crystal infused space alien. He's just human, just with a lot of money. Yeah.
Well, I guess if anything, it's chaos versus order.
That's the thing. That's Joker is literally the force of nature that is chaos.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. And I think that stuff like that as an example that make good ones. And there's other ones, and I'm just gonna lightly touch on that, like Mr. Freeze. There's a level of understanding of how that villain's acting. We all have had somebody or something that we would go to very dark lengths to go to. It's the phrase, I will die for you.
Yeah.
There's other people that even say stuff such as I will start wars for you. Hell, Helen of Troy. That whole thing started with wars. And that's exactly what happened. But being very believable, and Mr. Freeze before the animated series was just a hokey one, but in the animated series they made him so human with the amount of sacrifices he's willing to go for the few things in his life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of deep, and that's what makes a good villain, right?
Yeah. Well, I guess it makes them more complex too when there's somebody who has to make the hard decision. Thanos is also a really interesting one for the MCU.
And well, the MCU, the MCU Thanos definitely that one. I would say it was far more believable than some of the other versions of Thanos up to current era Thanos. There's Thanos used to have a Thanos copter, and that's where he got around. It's now looking at it he was this super space alien dude that probably had psychic powers and had a super gauntlet, and he rode in a copter. Okay,
selling toys, yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure if there was toys at that time, but I'm pretty sure they would find a way to do it. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. And even you had a couple, when we were hashing out all the villains that work, you started finding a lot of ones that don't.
Well, Sophia Lamb and Andrew Ryan. So it's such a shame because Andrew Ryan is the cream of the crop. It's one of the very narrative-driven video games I really, really like. He built a city underwater. He removed government.
Name the game.
BioShock?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Anyways, well, anybody who played would know. But yeah, he removed government, removed religion, removed status. Only greatness was allowed into the city of Rapture. and then he created gene splicing, and he went to war with the city when they didn't agree with him, and he fought against the city. And I can't think of any other villain that can beat Andrew Ryan narratively. And then, like, he seems so cool. And then Bioshock 2 came out, and they brought out Sophia Lamb. And I don't know who the hell Sophia Lamb is. Because, okay, she's just this very vague villain to take your, like, she's a very vague villain, and she takes her daughter away. And there's, like, a bunch of expositions on her that is the best way to describe her, I guess. Like, just... she's kind of a bad guy, I guess. And
I'm vague on purpose so you feel more relatable to me. Like I've never really got those ones. Those are so dumb. Like, ooh, like adding the air of mystery to her without like giving her true intentions.
Yeah.
Like at least give her intentions.
Well, I guess like she doesn't like supposedly she was your wife when you turned into a Big Daddy, but they're not clear about that either. And I guess they keep it very vague because you're not really... you could choose to either be good or bad, but if you choose the good route, nothing makes any sense.
Well, they would still have to give her the end goal intentions. Like, her intent was this, but then you don't understand the reasons why until you start playing through a whole game. Like, that would make more sense.
But in the end, she still doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so that there's no reason.
But yeah, she's vaguely threatening, and... when you pick up the audio logs of her when she's like debating Andrew Ryan, she's like, I'm counter to Andrew Ryan. Like, oh, okay, I guess. But
I'm the other opposing villainous side.
Yeah, but for the most part, she's just a very vague villain. I never. She was so bad compared to Andrew Ryan. Like, how'd you guys mess this up? So, but from video games though. Said.
Yeah, no, like, for the most part, like, a lot of the games that I relate to is going to be mostly from video games in general. With you doing the Andrew Ryan stuff, I was thinking about, like, a couple of video games. And I think it's more... the reason why I like Dr. Eggman from Sonic is that, like, for the most part, he's omnipresent. Like, every time you're in any level, he already has his bots out there. They're already, like, securing all the animals. Mm-hmm. There's all sorts of... and I'm talking about, like, the classic Dr. Eggman. I'm talking about, like, Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic Mania for the rough part. But a lot of it, like, every level you play through and stuff, it wasn't just, we're going to finally get to the epitome and beat Dr. Eggman once and for all. You always had Dr. Eggman to fight. He had new inventions, and every time you kind of beat him and thwarted him away, you saved the area, but he was off to do some other stuff. Like, he was constantly like a constant oppressive force in the games and the levels. Like, he was succeeding until you get there. Like, that was okay. Like, when you think about it, he was already succeeding. Like, if Sonic did not just walk into Green Hills, he would have got everything.
Oh, okay.
And I think that would made, like, now looking back, it's like a Saturday morning cartoon in a way. Mm-hmm. Like, Dr. Eggman is a variant of Shredder, where Shredder is always thwarted and all of his minions are all thwarted by the moment they are able to seize that new power, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're like, I'll get you next time, Turtles, or whatever, Dr. Gadget and what have you, right? Like, but he was present every time. Mm-hmm. He was controlling machines at the end of each level every time.
Oh, okay.
He was there. It wasn't just, I will get you, you foiled my plans, and I'm going to just monologue from the back seat right now, but wait till you get to level 8, so help me. No, he was there. He was like, I got other things I'm going to try to smash you with. Okay, these didn't work. I got to go do something else. It has to go back to the drawing board and come back. Like, that was really cool. And then, like, once Sonic Adventure Onwards came out, it became more of the very similar to, like, Bowser, just always at the end. And I think that was kind of bogus, especially in that, like, from Adventure Onwards. Mm-hmm. He always took, like, a side character villain for the most part.
Oh, okay.
It was always against Shadow, or it was against Chaos, or it was always against another opposing force at the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think it works for Dr. Eggman because you're basically saying his inventions don't work until you finally get to the end where that's the only time you actually see his inventions.
I don't know. Maybe they got to bring back the original team. I see what
Well,
you're getting at, though.
Well,
Because
no, they don't even have to bring the original team. They just have to like go back to routes of that drawing. Like, if they made Sonic Adventure like a very adventure-like game now, and it was more like constantly the back and forth with Dr. Eggman, it would honestly feel like a better story because it fits well. It's like a weird Saturday morning, and especially with Sonic's attitude.
But plus, I guess it's also along the lines of if Joker created a villain and Joker kind of steps aside and this villain takes over. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just
Okay.
basically it. Like,
Yeah.
if basically, if Joker finessed up Harley Quinn and goes, "I'm just gonna let you do things now, Harley," and then just like walks off to the side, waiting for Batman to finally come through his door. Joker wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Like like even Harley and Joker kind of clashed.
Yeah.
But that's why I really like Dr. Eggman.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. I kept the theme consistent.
Kept the theme consistent, kind of kept the character like different from Bowser.
Yeah.
Whereas Mario, you had to race all the way up to finally beat Bowser. And whereas Sonic constantly had to push Eggman back, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like Bowser has full control over the world, you now have to break down everything and just like finally get to the end and boom, save the day. Whereas Eggman was always constantly pushing at you when you come in, and you have to push him back.
That's very interesting. I never thought of it like that.
Yeah, so that's why I really liked like the classic Sonic writing because
Yeah.
it was different because you didn't have the top tier villain constantly fighting you
Yeah.
with various other inventions.
Okay.
Like you never did, and you don't really have that now. Like I could probably list every platformer style game right now, and not a single one of them does that. Like even Grunty, even though she's more omnipresent because she mocks you in Banjo-Kazooie and all that, you never fight her till the end.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the only thing that even comes close is maybe Yoshi's Story, like Yoshi's Island, not Yoshi's Story. Back that up. Yoshi's Island, the Super Nintendo one, was Super Mario World 2 supposedly. The only time that was ever really a thing was because every time you got to the last boss in each world, Kefka was there and uses magic to give you the next boss. That was close, but you weren't fighting Kefka with him. And that's the problem.
Okay.
Where you always fought Eggman. It just happened to be in another invention.
Gotcha. No, that's a really good one actually.
That's why he deserves to be in Smash.
Yeah.
Unlike Sephiroth, who is just one-dimensional.
Oh God. Okay. Everybody's gonna hate me for this, but Sephiroth is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. I barely remembered him. Okay, so you spend your entire with Sephiroth, you spend your entire time kind of chasing him, and he kills your girlfriend. I guess I'm supposed to be angry about that,
You're supposed to, because she was the highest level one. Like
and you should
me.
feel sad. But I mean, I guess she's your healer, but whatever. They give you all
Yes,
your
she was.
They give you all your
That
shit
pissed
back.
me off so much.
But you spend the entire game chasing him, and I can't remember. You fight him like 2 or 3 times, maybe.
Kind of, sorta. A couple of them were in flashbacks.
But it's been forever since I played it. But and I played the shit out of the game too, though. But even then, though, like I don't know how else to explain it. Like you have some history with him. You know more about him with your flashbacks, but it's all very vague. And then you're chasing him still until the end because he falls into the live stream and makes it to the end. And he summons a meteor, and you're just kind of like, okay, I guess I have to fight him now. But he's a very vague. Like, I didn't really understand his intentions until I read the Wikipedia on like what he was trying to do. Because I know like the translations were kind of messed up too, so I got like the gist of it when I was playing. But other than that, though, he wasn't really all that threatening.
I think I think one of the major problems with Sephiroth is actually a lot of the problem with the game characters themselves. A lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, were very one-dimensional. Like I think Kate Sith had more dimensions to him, but I think it's because he was the comic relief, and that was just easy to write back then, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think because the fame, I think is a mix of everyone's becoming the angsty teen. Like all these people who are growing up with video games.
Yeah, it did hit at the right. It did hit at the right time.
It hit at the right time with the angsty teens. It had a much darker tone. It was the first 3D Final Fantasy. And like all this rolled up to one. People just loved these characters for literally no goddamn reason.
Yeah.
Like it was just, oh, it's my nostalgia. They're one-dimensional characters, and I think Sephiroth was one of those type of people that was always had these one-liners, but he had a really big sword. Guys, it was really long. It's so awesome. And sometimes he was called the One-Winged Angel and made him even cooler. When really, like, for the most part, I think the only thing that made Sephiroth such an opposing force, as far as a narrative direction, is because the connection with Cloud. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Like, him as a character was just basically the deranged megalomaniac. And it was very one-dimensional. And so is Cloud, so is Tifa, so is Barrett. Like, all of these guys were just one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Whereas, like...
Name a hobby. Prove us wrong. Name a hobby of theirs.
And they're going to say, well,
I guess
Tifa's a bartender and Cloud likes to dress up like a girl. But, like, in contrast, though, like, I know they could write better because Kefka, the game that literally precedes it, like, had a weird Joker vibe to him, but he also had a very, like, hyper-maniacal, like, vindictive way to destroy things. Like, he poisoned an entire village's water system just to kill 2 people. And then he was in the middle of, like, one of the things I remember standing out for me when I first ever played it was when he was out there with his soldiers, right? And he literally bitches about sand on his boots and makes one of them dust it off. And then, if I remember correctly, like, hits him in the head or something. And then he has that laugh. That unique, like, 16-bit laugh is just nutso back then. Like, it, like, hit in a way. And
go back to roots. They gotta go back to
unlike
roots.
Sephiroth, Kefka actually reached his goals. He literally became a god and destroyed the planet.
Oh shit!
Like in that contrast, I think.
Oh, Kefka, I do need to play 6. No, everybody.
You do. Like 6 is. I think 6 is. Outside the convoluted storyline of 10, like 10 has some interesting stories outside the like main, like, plot twist of Sin is dumb.
Yeah.
Like that was probably.
Like I said, it's probably Square Enix again. Like, oh, how far along on the project are you? We're 90% done. Okay, you're doing another.
Well, I no, they had a lot more time to work on 10, and I think I do think 10's story was more fully fleshed out than previous ones.
Okay.
Because I do think 8 was a lot worse as far as the story. 8's story was garbage.
Those poor bastards. Holy shit.
Oh my god, dude. But I do think because they were moved from the PlayStation onto the PlayStation 2, I believe is what gave them a much more time to kind of flesh out the story a bit more and such. But for the most part, the story, like the progression of the story, not the story itself, was okay. It was all right. But 6 was probably the epitome.
Okay.
Like 6, I would probably say maybe some lore in Final Fantasy 11 and 14 would probably, like, just the lore behind them and stuff would probably work out. But overall, I would say 6 was definitely the most best written words. English. It's hard for me. It was one of the better written stories for it.
Okay. I guess another one for me is Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2.
Actually, I kind of liked him too.
Well, he's good halfway through, and then the other half, you could tell they kind of rushed it because the first part you love to hate him. You're like, God damn it, I hate this guy, but I love his antics. Like he's the villain that you hate, but you hate him so much, you love all the stupid stuff he does, and then kind of like close to the middle of it, they're just kind of like, okay, let's wrap everything up, and he kind of goes the crazy villain.
The crazy villain narrator.
Yeah, like
trope.
he kind of loses it, and then you beat him.
Hooray!
Yeah, so
I hate when like deadlines kind of mess with some characters, and you could tell that too.
yeah,
Like I didn't get to play all the way through Borderlands, but I did like Handsome Jack for the most part while I was with his little omnipresence and stuff. But
yeah,
that is something that I didn't get to play all the way through and experience the sharp left turn he takes.
oh yeah,
So for me, it wasn't as impactful. But I've had a couple people tell me how garbage it was. And yeah, no, that like I still need to probably finish some of that up. Like,
well, I mean, I guess if you have other people to play with you, it's a really good game. So we should
well,
play.
I do have it for Switch. I
Okay.
could probably wrap that up. I was told not to play Tales of the Borderlands if I liked Handsome Jack because apparently that ruins him.
Really?
Ruins him even more.
Ah,
I was told that. I can't say anything for it per se. So.
okay.
But I would say, like, this is a very quick, sweet little wrap up of some of the villains out there that work and some that don't. And well, I would say, that if you like what you're listening to, go ahead, hit that like button, maybe even subscribe if you like, and we will see you on the other side.
Bye. See ya.